Merry meet, witchy folks. This is Wind Willow. I've got a quiet house for a change, so I thought I would do a little video. It's been a while. This is an old tag. This is one that was around a while back, and I always wanted to do it, so I'm just going to do it tonight. It's the intuitive tag. Most of you probably seen some versions of this or other people doing this. Before I get started, I'm just going to be doing something with my hands. It's what I have to do. My boyfriend says, "Are we boring you? I mean, are you bored? Is that why you have to do this?" No, I'm not bored. I just feel like I have to do something with my hands. Really, he's not that big of an asshole. He's just a smart ass. All right, so what I'm doing with my hands, for those of you that are interested, it's not knitting. It's what people did before they knitted. This is a earlier version of that the Egyptians and the Scandinavian Norse country people did. It's called, and I'm probably butchering the pronunciation of this, nail binding or nail binding. Basically, you just use one needle, and it's usually made of bone. You could use a tapestry needle if you had a tapestry needle and not a bone needle, because not everyone has a moose femur bone in their house. But this is the traditional kind of instrument or tool that they would have used. Tapestry needles made of metal, has the big eye hole on it, and it works just the same. Not a big deal. The only difference is, maybe the texture of this. I don't know. I think the steel would be very smooth too. But I don't know. It's just something very slick about this that's nice. I like it. And of course, I like animals and I like things like this. All right, so that's a sort of needle you use. Don't know if it really has a specific name other than a bone needle. The yarn, I would think the best type of yarn to use is some sort of heavy worsted yarn, something that is thick and has the ability to fray and not completely come apart. And what I mean by that is when you join it, you kind of take the ends and make it fuzzy. It's almost like you're unraveling it. It's almost like you're tearing up the yarn. And then you would grab the end. See how fuzzy it can be? So you need a yarn that can get fuzzy like that on the end. And that way, when you go to join little pieces, which is basically what it is a combination of smaller pieces that you join together into a garment. Or at least that's what I've been told about the Oslo stitch. I know you can do multiple layers of it, but to join the pieces, you would need a yarn that could do that on both ends, and then you kind of twist it together. It's almost like you're spinning it together again, and it becomes one piece of yarn. And I didn't fray the other end because I don't want to do that quite yet. But I'm just learning how to do this. I'm a knitter, and it's something that interested me, the traditional Scandinavian type of knitting. And so I'm just practicing with this. So when you see me doing something with my hands, it's that's what it is. This is what it looks like, the braid or the finished cloth. Don't look at my nails, please. They're terrible. But I think it's kind of an interesting pattern. And this is, again, the Oslo stitch. There are other stitches that you can do. Anyway. The yarn I'm using is an Icelandic yarn. I got it on a site called the Dizzy Sheep, and I think you pronounce this Alfoslop, but I'm not exactly sure. But it's a really beautiful Icelandic yarn. All right, so the intuitive tag. That's what we're doing, right? Okay. Hang on. Oh, hot tea. All right, so the intuitive tag, let's see, number 1, share your first paranormal experience that comes to mind. Well, the first one that comes to mind has to do with me, but it's not exactly my memory. So let me explain what that means. My mother was pregnant when her father died, and they were very close. She was a daddy's girl, that sort of thing. But, um, you can imagine the disappointment for her whenever he passed away during the pregnancy. And that was me. Um, he had bought her a rocking chair, like an expectant mother would need a rocking chair for the baby when the baby comes. And um, he had done other things to get her ready for me when I would be there. Um, uh, what was I saying? Oh, okay, so I'm sorry. It takes me a while to get this started. I'm just learning. I get sidetracked easily. So when she was pregnant and he passed away, I'm sure that was very traumatic. To be honest, she really doesn't talk about it to a great extent because I feel like it's probably painful. And so I've just never pressured her for her feelings about that and what that was like for her to lose her dad at that pivotal moment. Her mother had already passed away. So at that point she was basically an orphan, though she was 20. So I don't know that you would call someone who was that age an orphan, but she didn't have any parents. The paranormal experience comes when she's had me at the hospital. She has gone home, and she's just a new mother. I guess she's probably not working yet, not back to work yet. I'm really not sure. But she's at home alone one evening, and she gets, dinner ready or whatever, and then hears a cough. And my grandfather was a smoker, and she hears the cough, and it sounds like his cough. And at first, because she's so accustomed to that sound, it does not startle her, and she doesn't think anything about it. It's kind of like just a normal noise that she's accustomed to hearing, and it doesn't immediately strike her as anything being off. Well, she hears it again and then begins to realize, wait a minute, I shouldn't be hearing his cough. My father's dead. And so she hears it towards the back, towards the bedroom where my crib is. And she goes back to check on me. And she sees him. She sees her father standing over the crib looking at me. And he's obviously looking down into the crib at me. And then looks over in her direction and sees her and smiles. And then looks back down into the crib. And as close as they were, she was so startled by that she immediately started crying and left the house and went outside to the front porch. And there she stayed, she said, until my father got home. And to me, that's kind of surprising because the stories she always told about her father was that, she was just a daddy's girl, and this is, her true soulmate. And I don't believe soulmates have to be romantic. So the thought of her being so startled that she left the house and she didn't really try to communicate or anything like that just tells me that that's how devastated she was by his death. And here, him being before her, in front of her, was just too much for her emotionally at that point in time because it had only been a few months. And of course, I think hormones would be pretty high after having a baby. And, she's home alone and this wasn't expected and that sort of thing. But anyway, this was my grandfather coming to see me and to let her know that he saw me. Because I think that's really what it was about. Of course, he could have seen me without becoming a spiritual, image in front of her. A ghost in front of her. That's what I'm trying to say. But he did it, I think, and this is just my opinion, obviously, for her benefit so that she would know he's still there and she would have some sort of confidence in that he's still with her and seeing me, and he was very excited about the pregnancy and about the new baby, me, and, she always, I think, had felt up to that point that he missed it. And he was saying, no, I didn't miss it. I'm here. I see her. I see you as a mother, and I'm here. So anyway, that was my first paranormal experience, but I was a baby and I don't remember it. Any second paranormal experience that comes to mind that I do remember would involve probably a Ouija board and things that surrounded that, and just some weird happenings involving things like that. I don't want to go into it here. It'd take forever to talk about that. I'll go on to the number 2. All right, number 2. Have you ever had a premonition? Yes, but mostly while dreaming, mostly in an unconscious state. Not really lucid dreaming for premonitions, though I do have lucid dreams. Premonitions sometimes just come in the form of, gut intuition, and that something bad is going to happen. Usually my premonitions involve something negative happening, like an accident, or somebody's sick, or somebody's going to die, something like that. So yes, but maybe not the Hollywood version of a premonition where everything's spelled out perfectly. It's more vague and more just like a gut instinct. When did you get your first tarot or oracle deck, and what deck was it? I guess I was about 12, and a friend of my mother's, who actually she married into our family, she gave me a deck that belonged to someone else. I have no idea the original owner of this deck. She had told me that it belonged to a friend she had a long time ago in Ohio who was a witch, and she gave her the deck, and she just didn't feel the call to use the deck, and she had just kept it all these years. And for some reason, she decided that they should go to me, this 12-year-old kid. So that was a Rider-Waite deck, the traditional kind of tarot deck. And that was my first one. And they were easy to work with. And I got really good at using that deck of cards. And then later on, they became lost to me. I'm not sure if someone stole them or something happened during a move, but they kind of disappeared from me. But maybe one day they'll reappear. You never know, right? I've had weirder things happen in my life. Number 4, what element do you connect with the most? Probably, this is really tough for me. For a long time in my life, it would have been, the answer is obviously fire. I'm a fire sign. I'm Aries sun. I'm Sagittarius moon, I'm Leo rising. So I have all 4 sun signs and major aspects in my chart involving those sun signs. Fire signs. So that would be my answer if you'd asked me that question probably 10 years ago. Now, why would it change? I'm still very much drawn to fire magic. And fire magics have always been very satisfying and fulfilling. But as the older I get, the more I realize how connected I am to Earth. I grew up on a farm. My father and his father and his father's father and so on and so forth for hundreds of years were farmers. And it was so ingrained in me as a kid that maybe I didn't even realize my connection to the earth until I moved to a place where I was in the suburbs. And I realized, so this is why everybody wants to move to the country. And I now realize that I am who I am because of my connection to the earth. I grow things. I'm an avid gardener. Flowers, food, veggies, fruit, herbs. I grow things. I would not be fulfilled without being able to do that. So it's now the answer probably is Earth. Probably feel more connected with Earth, and I probably always did, but I was just too young to recognize something that was right in front of my face. Do you believe in fairies? Yes. It goes back to my connection with Earth, even though I know people will say fairies, air, flying around, that sort of thing. But there are other kind of, little people like gnomes and things, and they're very earth-grounded kind of entities. And I seen glimpses of them here and there. And as a child, I knew where they lived. I could go and find them in the yard and things like that and say that this is where the gnomes live. They live in this tree, or this is where the troll lives. He lives in this hollow log. And I don't know why I would know that or tell people, because they laughed at me and thought it was the musings of a child. But anyway, yes, I do believe in fairies and lots of other little things, little people. Number 6, do you prefer the moon or the sun? This is really silly to me that as a witch that we would say or ask this question to one another, because we all believe in balance, right? Or at least most of us, I think, would agree that there must be a balance. There must be a light and there must be a dark, and there must be a positive and there must be a negative. And, you know, the sun and the moon are equal in my eyes. I cannot choose. You know, it'd be easy to say the moon, because she relates to the goddess energy and she changes like my moods and all of those kind of natural connections that we make to the moon. But then again, I mean, how could we live without the sun and without the sun's ability to help us grow things, and without the sun's warmth and light to, you know, give us the vitamins we need in our skin, even the most basic kind of, you know, they feel good kind of vibe that we get from the sun. It's so important. And that's why people experience things like seasonal depression and things. It's because we need the sun's rays. So I can't choose. I refuse to choose. Number 7, what is your favorite crystal or stone? This is tough too. I'm a little indecisive, huh? I guess the first crystal I was really drawn to would be green aventurine, and it's this little crystal here. It's kind of got a rounded side that kind of fits in your thumb well, and it's not necessarily like a worry stone or a pocket stone. It's just tumbled, but it fits perfectly in my palm, in my hand. So I love green aventurine. I love the energy of it. It was one of the first stones that I connected with in a really meaningful way, and I love carrying it. Can't get enough of it. Love its energy, but I can't choose, so my second favorite, really, these aren't in order. Just clear quartz. Oh my God, who doesn't love clear quartz? I mean, in a way, if I had to choose just one stone to have, it would be clear quartz, I guess. If I could only have one. Yeah, okay. Another stone I like a lot is called Numite. It's from Greenland. It may be the oldest stone on the face of the earth. It's sometimes called the magician's stone. It's got a very strong earth energy to it. It carries with it some heavy magic. Maybe I'll do a video on Numite. This is something I could carry with me every day as well and never feel like, never tire of its energy, or never feel like I've been carrying it too long. I adore it. And then the other stone I would say is moldavite. Look at this moldavite ring that I have. Isn't it gorgeous? It's actually 2 pieces. That's peridot or peridot in the middle. I've just started wearing this. I just got this maybe 2 weeks ago. It's the stone of transformation. It's a high energy, high vibrational synergy stone. Yeah, I don't want to go into the moldavite thing too much right now, because that's not what this video is about. Maybe I should do a video about the moldavite after I've been wearing it a little bit longer. We'll come back to it. But I really enjoyed this ring so far. I'll put it that way. And it does not bother me at all to wear moldavite all day and to sleep with it sometimes. All right, number 8. Can you see spirits or spiritual beings? Before I do that, I do like selenite too. This is a big slab of selenite, and I sometimes sleep with it, and you can just feel it humming and surging with light energy. Okay, so I like selenite too. Can you see spirits or spiritual beings? I have never seen a spirit in the physical, like with my eyes. I've never seen a spirit with my waking eyes. I've seen glimpses of things that I knew were not living people. I've seen that sort of stuff out of the corner of my eye. What I have seen is lots of evidence of spiritual activity. Things moving, things turning on and off, chairs rocking, doors opening and closing, and yeah, a good bit of that kind of stuff. A lot of stuff like that. Number 9, would you rather be able to fly on a broomstick, breathe underwater, make things grow fast, or control fire? Control fire would be kind of dangerous. Not really something that I spend a lot of time thinking about. Make things grow fast. I enjoy watching things grow at their own speed. Not really into that. Breathe underwater would be cool. That would be cool. But I would love to fly. I'm not going to say on a broomstick. That just doesn't seem very comfortable to me. But I would love to be able to fly. And in my dreams and in my travels, I do fly. And if I could do that in the physical, that would be cool, my friend. Number 10, what is the animal totem that you feel most connected to? Canine at the moment, but particularly fox and dog or wolf. My familiar is a dog, and I'm very connected to that animal at the moment. Though my first animal or spirit totem is a cat, and I still recognize a cat as being a very spiritual animal and connected to me at a personal level as a small child. You see Smeagol? Don't look at my messy house. This is my pretty black cat. Cats have always been like in my life since birth. So cats are probably my first animal totem. Number 12, tell us about your first spirit guide. I don't know much about who she is or our connection, though I feel it is a past life, and I feel it was in Ireland. And this is going to sound stereotypical, right? But she's got red hair from Ireland, and really, alabaster porcelain kind of skin, and her name is Angelica. Though I think that's a name she's just choosing to use at the moment. I don't know that that was her name when we knew each other. Not really sure. I would like to know more about her. That's something I'm working on. Number 13, do you feel more connected to the stars or the earth? I love astrology. I love learning about constellations and space and even the sciences. So the stars are appealing to me. But the question is, do you feel more connected to the stars or the earth? And so for that kind of question, I would have to say I'm more connected to the earth. My boyfriend once told somebody, and this was a guy around here in the suburbs who's talking about, I'm old country and I'm a farm boy and all of this, and to believe it or not, people argue about stuff like that here. Yeah, okay. So I wasn't really even listening to this conversation until I heard my name, and my boyfriend tells him, okay, excuse me, I got messed up there for a second. All right, so I overhear him saying this to someone else, but he says, when, that's not my real name, but when she's washed off more country from the bottom of her feet than you'll ever have. And it's just kind of a funny, jab at him for, being a city boy, though he professes not to be. But it was kind of true, it is like so much like who I am in my identity that it would be hard for me not to answer that question, Earth. I feel so connected to the Earth. Now, that's not saying I feel connected to the people here. In some ways, I do kind of relate to people who feel like they're aliens or whatever, and they just don't belong, they don't fit in. I feel like I fit in with the earth, but I don't necessarily understand or enjoy being around a lot of people. I'm not a recluse or a hermit, or I don't have agoraphobia or anything like that, but I just don't enjoy big crowds very often, not as much as I used to. At one point in my life, I would just suck the energy out of a big crowd of people and feel alive, and I was a social butterfly and all of that. But the older I get, I don't know, I just feel a sweet satisfaction in being alone in my garden or alone in my house like I am right now. And maybe it's because I work around hundreds of people every day. I'm sure that has something to do with it. So I enjoy the break. Number 14, what is your preferred method of blessing or cleansing? White light visualization. Don't need any tools. You don't need any special herbs or instruments. It's just a matter of using your mind's eye to visualize and send energy out that cleanses. White light energy visualization. But if I had to choose something that involves tools, I know a lot of people will say smudging, and I do smudge. I love smudging. I love the smell of it. I smudge with different herbs, not just sage, not just white sage. But right up there with smudging would be sweeping, just sweeping. I'm from the South. My relatives, especially on my dad's side, were just good old country people, and I guess you would call my great-grandmother on that side and her mother, great-great-grandmother, country witches or granny witches, though they were Christian. Now, how could that be? That's another video. Maybe I'll do that sometime too. But anyway, all those small acts of taking care of your home were loaded with visualization, and that was energy work. It was energy work, and sweeping is energy work, and you're clearing out the muck, and you're clearing out the negative energy, and it's something that would always have been done, and the women in my family would have always known that you're clearing out more than just the dust and the sand on the ground. You're clearing out a lot more than just that physical debris. Number 15, what color do you feel most spiritually connected to? Okay, so this kind of connects back to that question about what element. And at one point I would have said fire. Well, at one point about the color I would have said red. And I do love red still, the intensity of it, the layers of red, the vibrancy of that color. But now I feel at this stage I'm connected with green a lot, just like I'm recognizing that I've probably always been really connected to earth, and earth is what I feel most connected to at the moment. So the green kind of, I think, goes hand in hand with that. All right, so that was my last question. I've talked way too long, so if you followed me through this video to this point, thank you for watching. Hopefully it wasn't too terribly rambling and you could still enjoy it. All right, many blessings, and I'll see you later.